What's up, guys? Penguin Overlord here, and welcome to Ghost Recon Survival, my rule set for providing a more challenging experience to Ghost Recon Breakpoint. So, I've actually had the idea for this for quite a while, it just hasn't really come together except in the past week, because at the time when I was really thinking about this originally, I wanted it to be more than just turn the immersive mode settings to hard on all of them. And so I didn't really develop it until recently, where I started getting some more ideas, partially influenced by G Money Mozart's hardcore challenge. I have done things a little bit differently to make it not so brutally hard. So this is sort of the thing where you want additional challenge without like no HUD or deleting your character's save file. Not that there's anything wrong with G Money's hardcore challenge. I had a ton of fun with that. But I just wanted something a little bit more laid back for whenever I do free roam, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, or just play missions or do whatever. So this basically incorporates the hardest Ghost experience settings, class-based weapon sets, HUD restrictions, and other roleplay restrictions that make it a little bit more challenging. So we're going to start off with the HUD restrictions. Now, this isn't a no HUD experience, although if you really wanted to, you could make it that. But what I wanted to do with this was to encourage scouting out enemy bases and gathering intel on where enemies are, so that way you can make a more informed plan instead of just going in completely blind, which is something that I see people do in Ghost Recon when I do watch Ghost Recon videos, which that kind of defeats the purpose of doing recon and your ghost doing recon. So that's something I like to encourage with my playthrough rule set of Ghost Recon Survival. So the minimum settings is going to be hints never, because honestly at this point, if you've been playing Breakpoint long enough and you're trying to get more of a challenge out of it, you don't really need hints. Minimap visual is light. I credit G Money Mozart to him especially for this, because I haven't played with the setting before prior to doing the hardcore challenge, and that was a really fun setting to put on. So definitely not having the minimap makes things more interesting. You're still going to shut off detection clouds and enemy icons on the maps, so that way you can't just cheat with your TAC map and figure out, oh hey, there's an enemy patrol nearby by looking at your TAC map. So you still don't necessarily know what's going on around you unless you actually do some recon. And I also added the ally icons to never. Now I did, for this rule set, enemy icons are permitted to be on to encourage gathering intel. I kind of talked about it already. However, if you feel that this isn't challenging enough for you and you still think it's too easy, you're more than welcome to turn that off too. This is just something to encourage. This is just something to make the base game more harder and kind of bring more of that hunted behind enemy lines feel without making it brutally hard by just getting sniped out of nowhere, for example. So yeah, even at these settings, you're still gonna have to be careful about how you traverse the world, because you could just run into an enemy patrol that sees you and start shooting at you, and that would just not be good, especially with these ghost experience settings. Perfect transition, because they're hard. If you get into combat, you're going to feel it, and it's not quite the adrenaline rush of the hardcore challenge by G Money Mozart, but it's there. It's definitely there. So obviously, number one, you're going to have immersive mode on, no gear score, because I'm going to get into class restrictions in a second, but you definitely don't want to be able to switch out weapons mid-fight to grab a more suitable weapon. That's kind of cheating. I don't really want that. No AI teammates either. Again, you're alone behind enemy lines. You do, of course, have a little bit more latitude in what weapons you can have, because I haven't really shut off. I haven't forced you in this game to play in this mode to pick up weapons off the ground. You can still use your bivouac to get different weapons. Main weapon slots, you're going to go with one. Now, there are two exceptions, which I'm going to go into later. But generally speaking, you're going to have one primary and one handgun. So that's going to help, especially deal with some of the ammo issues in the game, in that the game gives you too much ammo. So if you're relying on one primary weapon, every shot's going to count just a little bit more. I still think that the Ghost experience could use an adjustment for how much ammo you can actually have with you. That could be a separate video I talk about later. But let's keep on going. Bandage quantity, few. So you only get to have 3 bandages with you. And I'm going to talk about crafting and how that plays into a little bit later in the other restrictions. Risk of injury, always. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean always, like every time you get shot, you get an injury. But it does increase the amount of times you get injured far more often in combat, which definitely allows that particular mechanic to come up more often. That's one of the things that at least I like and tried to design with my rule set, because I feel like some of the other rule sets out there, like the Hands Tier 1 or the Hardcore Challenge, kind of try to make Ghost Recon Breakpoint into Ghost Recon Wildlands. And I just, with my game set, I kind of wanted to build on the things that I liked about Ghost Recon Breakpoint, such as the class system. I really did enjoy that. I think it offers a bit more replayability than Wildlands, and partially because I've done Wildlands to death. Like, I have over 700 hours in that game, so kind of wanted to keep things a little bit fresh and not have to go back to that. Plus, Wildlands has Ghost Mode. Granted, that has health regeneration, but, you know, something different. Syringes heal injuries off. That's very important because without this setting, the syringes basically become your default healing option, and I never really use bandages all that much, except in like the first mission of the game, because why use a bandage when you can use a syringe and then just craft more of them? So that comes off. Stamina consumption is set to extreme, so you're gonna basically run out of stamina more quickly, so you can't just necessarily run for the hills when things go wrong. I mean, you still got a decent amount, and if you stop a little bit, it'll still kind of grow back a little quickly for my liking, but it's still a restriction, and that's still going to help make things a bit more challenging, because you can't just run off somewhere. Sometimes you may just have to stay and fight, and that's just the way you're going to have to deal with it. No health regeneration. That's definitely a more challenging setting. I normally, before this, did partial, because I think that made a lot of sense, but we're going for more challenge, so no health regeneration. So again, your syringes become very important, and it also becomes very important to stay in stealth, which is, again, another place I wanted to encourage with this rule set. Encourage being more stealthy and not just going in and shooting things up loud. But you can't do that in this rule set. Just be prepared for consequences. Ammo loss and reload, duh. The game gives you too much ammo. Moving on. Darkest Night, definitely. Especially when we go into the other restrictions. That's definitely going to be a good thing. Shop at Bivouac and Garage. At Bivouac, Erewhon only. So no shopping at the Bivouac. No getting access to Maria's shop in the Bivouac. And no gang vehicles. So you're going to be doing a lot of walking in the Ghost Recon Survival rule set. And you're not going to just be able to easily replenish your supplies. You will have to gather supplies throughout the world and just kind of deal with that. And of course, exploration mode, you're going to be on not guided, so you're going to have to look for things. Again, just make things a little harder, a little more immersive, a little more challenging. So these conditions combat will definitely be more challenging. You really don't want to get alerted, because you will get... things get real quick. Kind of an awkward saying, but we're going to roll with it. So it's going to encourage you to be more stealthy, take out enemies quietly, and as well as rely on your class technique more often, which is something that I did notice a bit at this point with playing Ghost Recon for over a year. I kind of don't necessarily need to use my class technique all that often. It's more of when I want to instead of, oh, I need this now. So that's going to be more useful coming into play with the class technique with this rule set. It's going to be far more important. And of course, I already talked about this. Anyway, world modifiers. I'm going to go with drone presence reduced for this, aerial patrol frequency classic, and helicopter patrols frequency classic. So Still kind of getting the feeling of being hunted behind enemy lines. Now, I would personally prefer having the drones on. However, I do know that a lot of people don't really like fighting the drones in Breakpoint. Not as realistic, so I did take them off as the default setting. You could enable them if you wanted to. There is some freedom of choice in it in Ghost Recon Survival. And of course, with the Azrael patrols are set on, you'll have to pay more attention to your surroundings. You'll have to actually listen for it, since the minimap is not going to show the Azrael drone icon. So definitely keep that in mind. You really do have to pay attention to what's going around you. Now, getting to the class restrictions, which I think is the most fun part of this. Because one of the things that was announced when Ghost Recon Breakpoint was first announced, if you were not there at that time, we were not paying attention to the game at that time, originally Breakpoint was going to have some restrictions on what classes could equip certain weapons. Like, if I remember correctly, Assault would not be able to equip a sniper rifle, and Panther would not be able to equip a light machine gun. People were not happy about this, and they kind of wanted more freedom of choice, so Ubisoft, I think, announced at E3, or maybe before then, that all classes would be able to use whatever weapon they want, so they did kind of reverse position that quickly. But for the sake of additional challenge and making the class roles matter more, so you're actually going to have to think carefully about what class you want, classes are going to have certain restrictions on what weapons they can have. They're also going to have a few perks that are going to only be available to those classes in order to encourage balance. So no classes are going to be able to run, all the classes aren't going to be run ballistic advantage and then just be able to snipe at long range. So that's good. There's two perks that are outright banned in Ghost Recon Survival. Number one, Pack Mule, because the game gives you too much ammo as it is. And Cold-Blooded, which honestly there's no health regeneration, so it kind of wouldn't make sense to equip that perk, so kind of banned by necessity here. In addition, I've also restricted some attachments to certain classes, and some classes are prohibited from using certain attachments. You'll see in a few minutes. Also, except for Field Medic, all classes can only equip one type of syringe in their item wheel, so you're going to have to choose. Do you want to have more syringes with the Mark 1 syringes? You get up to like 6 of them with all the skill upgrades. Or do you want to have a faster healing syringe but less of them? So you're going to have to make that decision. Now, first off, we're going to have Assault. We're going to go down all the line in order. So Assault's going to have the widest range of weapons available to use and the widest range of attachments available. However, in order to keep things balanced, Assault cannot use suppressors on any weapon, including their pistol. So if you really liked G Money Mozart's hardcore challenge with not being allowed to use suppressors, that's incorporated into this with the Assault class, which would kind of make sense. If you're assaulting something, you don't necessarily need a suppressor. You're just trying to get as much firepower out as much as possible. Now, granted, I do have harder settings with Ghost Recon Survival in the Ghost experience, so in order to compensate for that and being forced to open combat all the time, Assault has access to the Feel No Pain perk. Now, granted, this is a living document somewhat. If player feedback dictates, or if I notice something while playing this that, hey, this is a little bit imbalanced, or not, this isn't really working out right, I do reserve the right to change it, and obviously I'll do an update and inform you guys all about it. Also, one restriction that Assault has, in order to prevent having a completely overpowered weapon, Assault cannot use the 100-round assault rifle magazine and the underbarrel grenade launcher at the same time, because frankly, the 100-round magazine is a little busted. It kind of broke the balance of the game between LMGs and assault rifles, so that's kind of whatever. So that's going to be the balance. You can't use both attachments at the same time. You can either have a faster reload with a lot of bullets, or you can have a grenade launcher, but you can't have both. Now, you can use one of them, just not both at the same time. So for assault, the available weapons are going to be the assault rifle, the SMG, the DMR, the light machine gun, the shotgun, and of course handgun. All the classes are going to be used handguns because you can't unequip them, so there you go. Banned weapons, you're going to have the sniper rifle and the MGL, as well as any other future standalone grenade launchers included if Ubisoft adds more. But I abbreviated to MGL instead of GRL, which is the grenade launcher weapon type, so that way people wouldn't get confused. Class-specific perks, you're going to have Feel No Pain. Banned perks for the class are going to be Ballistic Advantage, Slim Shadow, Revivalist, and Recon Mastery. Banned attachments, again, all suppressors, and the 100-round assault rifle magazine and the underbarrel grenade launcher at the same time. Again, you can use them separately. You can have a 100-round magazine equipped or a grenade launcher, just not both. Now, Panther is a stealth-based class, obviously, so it's restricted to weapons optimized for CQC, close quarters combat. You cannot equip long-range weapons or any grenade launchers as the Panther class. However, because of being a stealth-based class, you do have access to the Slim Shadow perk, and I've also restricted any 50-round or 100-round magazines, as well as the 300-round magazine for assault rifles, i.e. you must use the small magazine. So it kind of offers you a decision that you need to make. Do you want to have the increased range of the assault rifle and maybe the increased power of the assault rifle, but have less capacity in your magazine, or do you want to go with the submachine gun, have that damage bonus, the suppressor damage reduction removed, and have a standard capacity magazine of 30 rounds? Up to you. So, available weapons, you could have the assault rifle, submachine gun, shotgun, and the handgun. Banned weapons are going to be the sniper rifle, DMR, MGL, and the LMG. So, no more burning down behemoths with your LMG like I do. Class-specific perks, you're going to have Slim Shadow. Banned perks, Ballistic Advantage, Feel No Pain, Revivalist, and Recon Mastery. Now, this class gets a lot of banned attachments because I did want to kind of make it into a more CQC class, so you're not going to have magnification on your weapons. So, all 50-round magazines, including submachine guns, all 100-round assault rifle magazines, the 30-round assault rifle magazine, underbarrel grenade launcher, the digital scope, the ACOG, the TA-31H, all of the sniper scopes, such as things like, the ACSS, the VC-16, anything, if it's like basically, if it has magnification on it, you can't use it, basically, is what I'm trying to say here. And the ACS-12 extended magazine, because 32 rounds of 12-gauge buckshot's a little much. It is. Of course, you can use the ACS-12 extended magazine on other classes that can use the shotgun, just not all of them. Now, the sharpshooter, coming up next, specializes in using long-range weapons in combat. Kind of duh. No shorter weapons such as SMGs and assault rifles. For the sake of balanced additional challenge, which is interesting, sniper rifles cannot use suppressors. Now, I know there are suppressors available for some of the higher caliber sniper rifles. I know that. It's just for the sake of gameplay balance, because a sniper rifle can take out a person in one shot, and depending on what sniper rifle you have, it can take out drones in one shot, like the flying drones. So, for the sake of balance and forcing you to choose, do you want to have less damage, but stay quiet and stealthy, or do you want to have that extra power, but risk getting detected by enemy patrols or the enemy base? And you're just going to have to choose, depending on where you're going, what distances you can get to away from the base. It's going to make a more interesting decision on what weapon you want to equip. So, also, Sharpshooter has access to Ballistic Advantage. One of the two classes that does have access to that. Available weapons, of course, sniper rifle, DMR, handgun. Banned weapons, assault rifle, SMG, LMG, shotgun, and the grenade launcher. You've got Ballistic Advantage available again. Banned perks, Feel No Pain, Slim Shadow, Revivalist, Recon Mastery. Again, we're repeating ourselves a lot here, but that's fine. Suppressors on assault rifles is the only banned attachment. I don't really need to specify magazines for assault rifles, because if you're playing sharpshooter, you're not using an assault rifle. Now, Field Medic specializes in short to medium range combat, so the purpose, of course, being able to revive other players in co-op. They also have the ability to equip both the Mark 1 and Mark 2 syringes because you're going to be rescuing people more often, so you have extra healing ability. You also have access to the Revivalist perk, which increases your movement speed and other things when people are down, so that's good. Available weapons, you can have the assault rifle, the SMG, the DMR, a shotgun, and a handgun, so good variety here. Banned weapons, of course, is sniper rifle, MGL, and LMG. And of course, I talked about this, kind of same thing. Banned attachments, again, no 100-round assault rifle magazine or 50-round assault rifle magazine, underbarrel grenade launcher, that kind of same thing. You want to stay light and fast as field medic, so no busted capacities. Now, the engineer, at least in my opinion, is the worst class in the game, so in Ghost Recon Survival, I gave him a little more love. So you have, with the engineer, unique access to the MGL grenade launcher, partially so that you could be able to activate your drone technique more quickly. Now, also, I did something a little bit different with the weapon restrictions here. Due to the slow recharge of engineer's technique, because it takes forever if you just kill human enemies with bullets, I gave the engineer the possibility of equipping 2 weapons. So we have 2 loadouts here. You've got loadout 1, where you can pick 1 assault rifle, SMG, LMG, shotgun, or handgun. Let me fix that. I screwed that up. And the MGL. You can equip the MGL as a single weapon. That's my bad. I should have fixed that earlier. Banner weapons, sniper alpha, DMR. You're not a long range shooter. Also, you have unique access to recon mastery, so you can recover your technique more quickly by scouting out bases, which again is something I want to encourage in this game mode. Of course, obviously, banned perks, ballistic advantage, slim shadow, field no pain, revivalist. I did ban the 100-round assault rifle magazine because, again, it's busted, but you can use the 50-round magazine as engineer, so that's good. For assault rifles and SMGs. No bans on extended magazines for LMGs because LMGs have a slow reload, so no real reason to do that. The second loadout, you can run a shotgun and the MGL, so 2 primary weapons, and a handgun, because I figured, like, the MGL would be relatively easy to carry around as a second weapon, but I did want to keep it restricted to 1 class. So, shotgun and MGL. Do know that there are some, not all, but some shotguns that have suppressors, so you can still kind of go stealthy with this, or you could choose to go loud, up to you. In this loadout, all the other weapon types are banned because, again, shotguns, the reason why I picked shotgun was so that way it would have reduced ammo capacity. So again, ammo management matters more. So there you go. Again, recon mastery is available. I did ban for loadout 2 the ACS-12 extended round magazine because, come on, 32 rounds of buckshot, it's a little OP. So if you want to use the ACS-12, you gotta use the standard mag, which has like 20, which is kind of messed up because it's actually, the standard mag is actually supposed to have 8 and the extended mag is supposed to have 20, but again, the developers kind of screwed up magazine capacities on a lot of the weapons in this game, so that's kind of on them, but whatever. Now, Echelon. Echelon is my favorite class in Ghost Recon Breakpoint. It's also the most OP class in Ghost Recon Breakpoint, so it's getting nerfed. So, as a skilled solo operative, Echelon is only allowed to use their handgun. No primary weapons, just handgun. And it's, even then, it's still pretty powerful because, well, handgun only allows us to compensate for the Echelon's class technique, class abilities, an excellent class tool, although given that by default there's no real drones in this game, except for mission drones, it's still, that particular class item's importance is diminished. Now, in this current version of Ghost Recon Survival, which is version 1.0, the very first version, Echelon is permitted to use the Pistolero perk, which allows a technique recharge more quickly if you're using a handgun and does more damage, and Slim Shadow, so that way you get increased stealth, and so you get more damage off your handgun since you're only using a handgun. That being said, I'm kind of on the fence about allowing this because even then, echelon is still pretty powerful. So if you guys play this game mode and give me feedback like, hey, echelon's still OP, pretty busted, powerful, then in a future update, I will remove that. So, again, available weapons, handgun, again, banned weapons, pretty much everything else. Slim Shadow is allowed, just like Panther, but these other perks are not. No banned attachments because, again, you're only really restricted to handguns, so it did make sense to list out all the different attachments in the game there, because it would just take too long. Now, Pathfinder, I made it a more mid-range combat specialist, has access to the powerful Azrael drone, which offers advanced marking abilities, all the stuff that the Pathfinder can do with the drone. So, to compensate for that powerful ability, I did restrict weapon choices on this class more. So, you can only use the assault rifle, DMR, and your handgun. Sniper rifles, the MGL, the LMG, SMG, shotgun are banned. I did give Pathfinder ballistic advantage because ideally, in my role with Pathfinder, you use your suppressor more often. So, you use your you use ranged weapons more often. Fight more out of a distance, so that helps. And of course, ban perks, etc. I did ban the 100-round magazine for this, the assault rifle magazine for this. So again, pretty much the only class that can use the 100-round magazine is the assault class, which makes sense because assaults could be more forced into open combat more often. Now, for other restrictions, I did prohibit ground and air vehicle travel. So that way you have to travel on foot, so that way you kind of experience more of the game world, which is a common thing to increase more immersion in Ghost Recon that other people have done. So it's getting in here too. Of course, fast travel is also prohibited for same reason, making things too easy. Now, crafting and item wheel changes can only be done to bivouac. So this is a very bivouac central rule set. So, whenever you leave the bivouac, it's what you've got. You cannot replace the items unless you pick them up in the world, and you cannot craft them unless you go back to the bivouac. So, what you have is what you got, and if you run out of supplies, that's on you. One more thing, if you're playing in co-op, all players must agree on using a unique type of weapon. So, for example, you can't run around with everyone having 4 assault rifles with the 100-round mag. Well, you couldn't anyway because of classes. But hypothetically, no one's running around with the same type of weapon. Everyone gets a unique weapon, so that way everyone has a unique role in the group. Now, Ghost Recon Survival can be played on your main save file, which will of course allow you to use all of the event and raid rewards if you so desire, which is what I like about this. Some other rule sets kind of restrict what weapons you can have, which kind of makes me a little sad because you can pick up some cool weapons in the game, like weapon variants and stuff like that. Stuff that normally wouldn't drop in the open world. Like weapon variants generally don't drop in the open world, which is a little unfortunate. I kind of wish Ubisoft would change that. Then maybe I'd change that rule, but unfortunately they don't, so I am allowing you to use whatever weapon you want as long as it's with the appropriate class. So yeah, there you go. However, if you choose to start playing Ghost Recon Survival on a new Breakpoint save file, I do require 2 main restrictions here. Night vision skill cannot be purchased unless you have night vision goggles or you found them in the open world. So there was a Ubisoft Forward event a while back where they gave out NVGs. If you have those, that's cool. You can get the skill, but if not, you have to wait until you find NVGs in the open world to get them, which means you cannot access the night vision skill, so you do have to play with Darkest Night without NVGs for quite a while, depending on how determined you are or not are to get NVGs. So again, offers more challenge. Also, night vision cannot be used unless you have NVGs equipped and you're wearing an NVG compatible helmet. So basically, any helmet that allows you to put NVGs on them. It's not that big of a deal. But if you choose go with a different cosmetic, such as like maybe a baseball cap or whatever, then you can't use your NVG skill. So you're going to have to play in Darkest Night. So it's going to depend on what character you kind of want to build. Do you want to have NVGs or not? So up to you, but obviously a little more challenge. Obviously, this doesn't really apply if you in your main save file because you already spent the skill, so no point. The second thing is the maximum ammo, thermal vision for you, not the drone. The drone can have thermal vision. They can have that skill. But for the main player, you can't have thermal vision. Speed climber, tireless stamina, regen speed, and mountaineer pass abilities are banned, essentially making the game harder and making the stamina skill matter a lot more. Now, I did include bonus challenges for you in case this isn't tough enough for you, in case you're like, this is still a little too easy. What do you got here? So, obviously, you could put on no HUD if you wanted to, or just restrict the HUD more. Completely up to you. You can also do the Terminators or Rebels event active, so you can do that if you so want to. Just be careful, because the Terminators can only be killed with the Mark 14 termination, so make sure you have that weapon equipped. And of course, you can set the drone set to classic. Now, that pretty much concludes it. Now, obviously, there is, at the time I'm uploading this video, kind of an elephant in the room, if you will. Cyberpunk 2077 is coming out in about 2 days. It depends on when you get it in your time zone. 2 to 3 days, whatever. So a lot of people are going to be playing it. I'm going to be playing it. I'm probably not going back to Ghost Recon Breakpoint for a couple of weeks at least, because I've been looking forward to this game for such a long, well, I guess a relatively long time. I only really heard about it at E3 last year, so people have been looking forward to it for longer. But the point is, a lot of people are going to be playing Ghost Recon Breakpoint, so I don't blame you if you don't get to this right away. But if you do, come back to Ghost Recon Breakpoint anytime, and you want to try out, please feel free to give it a try. Let me know what you guys think. Just comment in the video comments below what you think about feedback. Is this good? Is this bad? Things that could be tweaked. Any questions that you have, feel free to let me know. And of course, I'm going to keep a running log of title update notes. Right here, I just have the first one where I created Ghost Recon Survival. And if I write future updates, I'll just type in above it. So like 12/8/2020, like that. And I'll keep this document up and running as long as I'm continuing to evaluate the mode and, just keep playing it. Eventually it'll probably stop because the next Ghost Recon will come out, or some other game will capture my attention, like Cyberpunk 2077. So eventually it'll be stopped, but I will keep an eye on this for a while. Keep an eye on you guys' feedback. So definitely, if you've got any, let me know. Basically anything. So I hope you have fun with this. I hope you find it challenging if you've been looking for a greater challenge in Ghost Recon Breakpoint. So if it does, feel free to let me know. So thank you all for watching. This video is 33 minutes long, about to cross to 34 minutes long. So it's a bit rambling. We had a lot to cover, but I hope you guys like this. Hope you give it a try and hope you enjoy yourselves with this. So thank you all for watching. I'm Penguin Overlord. Now catch you all next time. Take care, guys.